After creating a startup in 2007 that we sold to PayPal, and I joined
Wow.
PayPal, and as I told you, the tech for Libra was very strong. And what really shocked me was that Polkadot offers the two things.
How do you square up the importance of decentralization with centralized organizations? Do you feel like Web3 Foundation and Parity will be around for a long time?
The launch team wishes you good luck and Godspeed.
Space Monkeys blasting off with Bertrand Perez. He's the CEO of the Web3 Foundation. It's really nice that he sat down with us today. Sir, welcome to Space Monkeys.
Thank you for having me, Jay. The pleasure.
Very, very nice to meet you, sir. Web3 Foundation, Parity, Polkadot, these three concepts can be a little opaque to people outside the ecosystem, but even inside as well. How do you describe what the Web3 Foundation is to the people in your life and what you do for work?
So the Web3 Foundation is in charge of basically three, I would say four main topics. The first one, if I take it by historical order, the first one is the Web3 Foundation is the issuer of the DOT token. So potentially the token has been issued, and Web3 Foundation is responsible from a regulatory perspective when it comes to the token, and we'll speak about it later. And I know that you've been talking with Angie and Josh about the regulatory topics, and it was a great interview. So that's, I would say, the first responsibility is make sure we are responsible for whatever is happening to the token from the regulatory perspective. The second responsibility is research. So we have a strong team of researchers. So they are experienced PhD researchers doing research, so the hardcore research that you need to back a strong, robust, and scalable and secure blockchain. So whether it's research in cryptography, in networking protocols, quantum resistance, all those hardcore research topics are covered by that team. All the results of the research is published openly, so it's open source. Any other projects can benefit of the research, right? And we are using it for Polkadot. But what we want to make sure is that any development that is done on Polkadot is backed by strong science. It's not just a bunch of hacks of code here and there, but it's backed by hardcore science, so we know it's going to scale, it's the most secure, and so on. So that's the research responsibility. Then we are running a grants program. So we, over the course of the last 3 years, we have given something around $10 million worth of grants to teams willing to join the ecosystem, willing to develop applications in the ecosystem, but not having enough financial resources to recruit those 2 engineers for 6 months to be able to develop either a proof of concept or a V0.1 of their application. So they come to us, they submit their project. We do KYC to make sure they are legit and so on. Of course, we don't want to get any legal or regulatory trouble. And we do an evaluation of the project. And if we evaluate that the project is innovative, brings value to the ecosystem, then we define with them milestones. They would deliver their code in different tranches in open source, so we can review that and make sure that they delivered what they promised to deliver, and then we can unlock the payment. So we are not acting as a VC, so we don't give more than $40,000 worth of grants, right? But we try to spark that innovation, to bootstrap those teams so that they can reach the next level and then go and look for more traditional ways of financing through VCs or other ways.
Sure.
And the last part is what we call technical education. So basically, if we want to help the ecosystem to grow, we need to make sure that when developers come to us, they find solid and strong knowledge bases for them to learn what they need to learn to build and develop strong, efficient applications on top of Polkadot. So we are publishing tons of contents, tons of knowledge, ranging from basic blockchain knowledge up to very advanced cryptographical development for blockchain, right? So in that wide range of knowledges through all kinds of channels, whether it's YouTube channels, MOOCs, partnerships with platforms like edX, and so on, we are trying to maximize the output of knowledge to the community, so that when they come to the space, they know that they have a one-stop shop where to go to grab the knowledge that they need to go further. And one of the things that we are also pushing is what we call the Polkadot Blockchain Academy, which is also an effort to bring knowledge to the community and accelerate the learning curve for developers so that they can be efficient in a matter of 5 weeks. So it's an intensive training that lasts for 5 weeks. The last one happened a few months ago in Buenos Aires. And Gavin Wood is participating, so he's also part of the different professors helping those developers and transmitting to them the knowledge that they need, so that by the end of those 5 weeks, they're ready and they're efficient, and also they have a job, because basically whether it's Parity or other teams from the ecosystem, they come and they offer jobs to those developers so that they can instantly apply all the skills and knowledge that they've been working on for the 5 weeks during the academy into real projects for the ecosystem. So all that is what we basically the Web3 Foundation is trying to help with and is responsible for.
It's a vast number of responsibilities. What's the structure of the Web3 Foundation look like? You're the CEO, but who do you have working with you to bring about all these results?
Yeah, so we're structured basically as many organizations. Legal is an important component. As I told you, we have regulatory responsibility when it comes to discussion with the SEC and other regulators. So we have a strong chief legal officer who comes from Google, Switzerland. So he's in charge of all topics around, I would say, day-to-day corporate legal aspects, but also all the regulatory components.
Right.
Then finance is important. We have a set of financial assets that we use in order to help the ecosystem to grow, and we need to make sure that we are doing a wise use of our financial assets. And also we want to make sure that especially in times like the ones that we are facing right now, the foundation needs to be strong from the financial perspective, so that we know that we can last for years and years, regardless of the market conditions and regardless of the price of the tokens, because we have solid financials and solid assets that are helping us provide the financial ammunition that we need to deliver on Gavin's vision and to deliver on Polkadot's vision that is very broad. So finance is important, and also the other part is technical part in terms of leading the researchers and having strong people, team members there. So the research lead is a very strong person in the space, and they are, for example, responsible for all the research that has been done around the consensus algorithm that is used by Polkadot, the new governance model that we are pushing, that we call GovV2, comes from those heads. They have been scratching their heads on the theoretical aspects of governance, all the tokenomics, for example, around the Polkadot tokenomics, and all the I would say the auction system and the candle auction for the crowd loans and the bid to for the parachains. All those parts of the system that are key and important, they all come from those researchers who have been working hard defining the theoretical models and making sure that they were sound and well defined before a single line of code was written.
So a lot of the design of Polkadot comes from this hardcore research you guys are doing.
A big part of it, yes, absolutely.
But as far as executing on the building of it, I don't think we touched it yet. That's Parity's role, right?
Yes.
So what's the relationship between Web3 and Parity in that way?
So Parity is an independent company from Web3 Foundation, and Parity is doing a big part of the development. Polkadot is an open source system, so anyone can participate, and we are seeing some other teams participating. But obviously, Parity is one of the participants in the development of Polkadot. So as I said, all the publications from the researchers on our side are open source and public. So the teams from Parity are using those publications to then implement whatever function they want to implement and submit that implementation. Because don't forget one thing that is key and important with Polkadot, and it makes it different from others, is that any new release of the system is not I decide to develop a feature and then it goes live.
Sure.
features are developed, they're proposed to the community, and all that goes through governance vote for the whole community to accept that new release, for that release to be live on the system. So there's really the whole ecosystem participating and approving or not approving releases, whatever the team that has developed those releases. And the link with Parity is basically they are providing some significant work in development.
Yep.
And we are having also a relation with them for, they are doing also some business development on their side, like other teams are doing. If I take an example, Astar is another important team in the ecosystem, and right now they announce important partnership that they have done in Japan with Toyota and Sony. And this is great because we are really starting to see all those parachain companies, right, or parachain teams, call it the way you want, or parachain organizations, who are starting to, within their own specific verticals, whether it's distributed identity, or any other of the verticals that they cover, to go for and find partners, find customers, so that they can offer their services in a completely independent way.
Totally.
Getting all the benefits of the Polkadot operating system and the value that they're bringing in terms of new applications that they develop.
It's thrilling to see it all coming together like this. And I want to dig into those 4 pillars that you spoke about earlier, but I just want to pull back for a second because this is not your first rodeo. This is not your first role in a crypto project or a blockchain-based project. I think our audience would be really curious to know about where you were before you joined the Web3 Foundation?
Not going back to the dinosaurs era because I'm an old one, but initially I graduated as a software engineer 32 years ago.
Wow.
So I'm a tech guy, and I spent the 15 first years of my career doing hardcore C++ development for telecom systems.
Amazing.
And then I moved more into the management side of things, and I've been moving between startups and corporates. And I would say, just if we now compare back closer to where we are now, after creating a startup in 2007 that we sold to PayPal in 2011, I joined PayPal, and then that was my first big Web 2.0 experience where I was leading engineering teams and had a great time over there because there are great technologists in that company, because tech is key for that kind of company.
Sure.
And this is where I discovered blockchain. So in 2013, I discovered Bitcoin. So initially as an investment, right? But as I'm a geek and a techie, I started to dig into the tech. And this is when I really saw the power of the blockchain technology. And
what did it make you see?
I was at that time working and leading teams in the payment space. And clearly, blockchain is bringing a lot of solutions for big problems that we're having in payments. Like, it brings instant settlements. Right now, when some of the infrastructure I was running were in charge of settling between transactions between banks, you need to understand that even right now, 2023, those settlements are FTP transfers that occurs during night, not during the weekends. So those FTP transfers, they transfer CSV, comma-separated variable files, text files,
no way,
of close to millions of lines through FTP between the different entities and the banks. So it's just, you have inefficiencies everywhere. Right?
It's like how I submit homework.
Yeah, exactly. If the FTP server is down, you don't settle. If there's a wrong parameter or a wrong comma somewhere in the file, the settlement is not confirmed. And you can have like $1 billion worth of transactions that is pending just because there's a comma somewhere in a file, and that's going to last for a couple of days or maybe more if that happened on Friday. Then you will investigate the issue on the Monday. Hopefully you find the issue on Monday, you fix it on Monday, and then you resend or resubmit on the Monday evening, and then maybe on the Tuesday the settlement is done. So this is just an example. There are tons like that. And these kind of issues with the blockchain system, you solve it and you have instant settlement. So when I was basically going through the learning of blockchain, and I was on the other side of my brain having the knowledge of all those kind of issues that we were facing on a daily basis in the payment space, that clicked together. So obviously the financial/payment use case was clear to me, and I started to try to evangelize internally for us to do more on that.
How was that received?
Say not well.
Okay.
But you can understand that
Sure.
you don't want to cannibalize your existing business at that stage. So maybe and we launched some prototypes. Some prototypes were done, but just in order to try the tech, but nothing external facing, I would say. And then at that moment, I said, okay, my next professional journey, I want it to be in blockchain.
Okay.
And basically, that's what happened in end of 2018 when some of my friends at Facebook contacted me and said, well, we know you're interested into this. We're going to launch that. We need someone to lead what is going to become the Libra Association.
Right.
It's going to be in Switzerland. Are you interested? And
Yeah.
I say, wow. It was clicking everything. It was clicking from the tech perspective,
Yep.
blockchain space, Web3 space.
Sure.
A wonderful tech, because the team at Facebook was one of the best in the area. So the platform that they developed was very strong and very good.
Yep.
Potential scale was also interesting, right? So
Of course.
this is how I joined Libra at that
Sure.
moment,
Yeah.
with the mandate of creating the association. So it was not a foundation; it was an association outside of Facebook. The contribution of Facebook was they were basically giving all the code that was developed as open source, right? So it was one of the first time that Facebook was doing. Now they do a lot of open source, but at that time, such a piece of code that a lot of engineers. So it was a huge investment for Facebook, and they decided to give that completely open source.
Right.
And with the mandate of bringing together not only Facebook but 26 other organizations like Spotify, Uber, Checkout.com, Mercado Pagos from Argentina. So diverse organizations, most of them in the Web2 space, from diverse geographies, the US, South America, Europe, etc. Bring all that together to create that association that would be responsible for running basically the payment system that Libra was supposed to be, and to do that, Libra was planned to be a stablecoin.
Right. Libra was going to knock down all the walls that surround borders and jurisdictions, but also kind of raise all of those safety precautions and profit-generating opportunities of transferring funds across borders. I know Libra had a lot of difficulties pretty quickly after it launched. What can you tell us about introducing this amazing, world-changing concept to the established governance and jurisdictions around the world?
So first of all, what I want to say, and it's a credit to all the wonderful team that was working there with me. It's the vision that we were all having, and the reason why we joined was really that vision of democratizing payments and financial inclusion for real, and at scale, right?
Right.
So that was the vision that we all had, and that was basically what we wanted to achieve. Is in our 21st century, how can you justify that if you take the remittance use case, international remittance, which is $700 billion worth every year?
Wow.
On average, 7% of that is taken by fees. And that's just an average. Depending on some of the corridors you're using, it can go up to 25%, right? So you're taking, let's say, 7% out of the poorest people in the world, right? Just for the sake of transferring money.
Yeah.
Where today you can send a video to your friend on the other side of the world, 100 kilobytes of data for free, and it's instant. But when it comes to money, it's not free,
right?
It's not instant. There are 4 or 5 days of delay. How can you explain that? And you're sending much, much less data than what is in the video of your cats or whatever that you're sending to your friends, right?
Right.
So the vision was this one. Obviously, due to the godfather that we were having and the set of partners, the potential scale made a bunch of people freak out. I can confirm that.
Yeah.
And we had to face some, let's say, severe headwinds from regulators and other organizations. regardless of that. And then we had to basically phase down the project and sell the assets to Silvergate, now famous. So to Silvergate, but it's not. They didn't fail because of the sale of
No,
Libra.
yeah,
So
of course.
But so we had to sell the assets. However, what I would say is that I really feel that thanks to Libra, the whole industry has gained at least 5 years. Because Libra helped the awakeness of regulators and governments around the world of the power and the potential of Web3. And that they had to do something. They had to do proper regulatory frameworks for the financial aspects of crypto. But Web3 is much more than just the payment or financial use cases. It's everything, right?
Yeah,
so you can have all kinds of use cases.
Yeah.
And I feel that thanks to, if Libra didn't exist, we would still be in the same situation where we were before Libra, where majority of the regulators don't really paying attention to crypto or Web3, because from their perspective at that time, it was just a bunch of cyberpunks.
Sure.
A few of them using Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a few other tokens there and there.
Yeah, yeah.
No scale, no potential, no threat, nothing. So no need to regulate, no need to nothing.
Right.
And what I can tell the community is that I know that within the community, a lot of people are in the position of being against regulation. And well, this would be in an ideal world. In our world, we need regulation.
Yeah.
But we need the good regulation. So we need the good level of regulation that stops the bad use cases and keeps the bad guys out of the game, while allowing innovation and the thousands and millions of use cases that Web3 technology can bring, and all the upside, all the value that this can generate for society.
Right.
We're seeing that happening in Europe, for example. We're in Paris, and in Europe there's this new regulation called MiCA, which is a result of Libra, and starts to define well and sound frameworks for crypto assets.
Right.
Before that, Switzerland was the very first country to have a clear framework, clear rules. So this is why we put Libra over there, and this is why you see us, Web3 Foundation, and the majority of the foundations from the crypto world being based in Switzerland, because there are clear frameworks to be able to operate and have that level of confidence that you can execute. And if you execute within the framework, you will not receive a red tape or a bad news in a couple of months from now. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's important.
That's a fascinating origin story. And one more thing about Libra is, in that video example, that's peer to server to peer. But Libra was supposed to be real deal peer-to-peer payments, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yep. It was basically the goal was to cover all the use cases that the stablecoin can cover.
Yeah. Right.
So we moved from Libra to DM. It was not just a name change. It was also changing the structure of the stablecoin. But all the time, it was a stablecoin backed by a strong reserve. And we now, in light of what happened with Terra and so on, people understand better what is a real strong one reserve.
Sure.
Versus algorithmic and I would say more funky kind of stablecoins, right?
Yeah.
So the reserve was sound. The reserve was backed 1-to-1. The difference was that in the V1, so Libra, what was backing the stablecoin was a basket of currencies. So it was a basket made of US dollar, euro, British pound, Japanese yen.
Okay.
Right. So it was a basket. And then we evolved from that into dedicated stablecoins. So one DM dollar backed by US dollar.
Right.
And then afterwards, the plan was to have a DM euro and so on. Right?
Okay.
So the vision was always the same: a stablecoin and cover all the use cases that stablecoin can unleash.
Yeah.
Whether it's peer-to-peer or more B2B use cases.
Right.
In an open manner.
Yep.
The code was open source. Everyone could audit the code, right? The network was operated by the members of the association, the 27 members, well-reputable companies, having strong infrastructures when it comes to security, cybersecurity, and so on, to make sure that the nodes were safe, right? And that was basically it.
Incredible. Okay, so when did you join the Web3 Foundation?
I joined in September 2021,
Okay.
a year and a half ago more.
What was that journey like?
The first thing is I was really mind-blowing for me to see the tech.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Because, as I told you, the tech for Libra was very strong.
Yeah.
Really, the team was very strong and did a very good job at developing the blockchain.
Sure.
And when I first started to engage, I wanted to look at the tech because, again, as a technician, that was important for me to make sure that the tech was sound and solid. And really, when I started to dig into it and see the potential of Polkadot, at that moment I had this comparison that I'm still using today. All the other chains, smart contract based and so on, look like to me like Excel macros.
Right.
Where Polkadot was real Java or .NET C++ development, right?
Yeah.
So I have nothing against Excel macros, right? There's stuff that you can do with Excel macros.
Sure.
But you cannot build SpaceX or develop all the code that runs on a Tesla using Excel macros. You need real code, right?
Yeah.
And what really shocked me was that Polkadot offers the two things. Mm-hmm. You can basically assemble Lego pieces, pick a consensus algorithm, you pick another brick there and there, and you assemble your Lego and you have your blockchain. Or you can do everything on your side because the platforms provides you the proper APIs and endpoints that you need for you to be able to develop very deeply whatever you need. And for example, if you want to develop a blockchain for supply chain management in the space of logistics, so you have, we're talking with companies who are leaders in the world, shipping containers across the world, and they're shipping millions of containers on a yearly basis.
Yeah.
The application you need to develop, right, requires really deep customization to your needs.
Sure.
You cannot do that with a smart contract language. You cannot do that with Excel macros, right? And Polkadot offers you all the space and all the features for you to focus on the logic of your application without taking care of the security and the underlaying infrastructure.
Yep.
Polkadot deals with that. You just focus on your work and your business, right? In a very deep and very specific way, right? While Polkadot takes care of everything else and running that. So that was really, the first thing was the tech at that moment, realization, and then I had the opportunity to meet with Gavin. I mean, Gavin is really someone that I respect a lot, I admire a lot, and clearly his vision just finished to sell me the offer.
Right.
Governance V2 is clearly something that is unique, I would say. No other chain is offering a governance at such level and delivering on Gav's vision in terms of full decentralization, removing any central entity that has an impact on the governance, and basically giving back the power to the token owners, which is really what we are all expecting from Web3 and this decentralized world.
I know that you've been talking about how the rest of the world is really far ahead of the United States, yet the United States and fitting into that regulatory environment has been important. What's that journey been like from your point of view, and what do you see ahead given all these notices?
Josh and Angie have done a good job at explaining exactly our journey with the SEC and why it is important, and the approach that we took, which is basically to engage early, engage at the white paper level, and then show every time we were moving forward and we were delivering on the execution of the white paper, show that we were doing what we said we were going to do. Right? And that generates confidence also on their side. So you're seen slowly but surely as a trusted partner, so that okay, those guys are not saying this, they are also doing it. Right? So, and that's important. Like in any relation, you need to build the trust, and if you don't break that trust, so, and we also, from the perspectives of the marketing and PR strategies or the way we were communicating, we were also not being as aggressive as other projects have been, and not right. So sometimes I know the community was not happy, and they were claiming that we were doing a bad job at marketing or PR, but now in hindsight, I hope everyone sees the value of that. Is that well, we're a different kind of animal.
That's right.
For the regulator in this current space, it has a lot of value. So, but the work is not done. There's still a lot of work to be done. We need to continue to the relationship and the interactions that we're having with the SEC. We're doing that with other regulators also elsewhere in the world. So that work is a continuous one, and there's a lot of work to be done there.
Sure.
Now we're seeing a lot of projects and exchanges and so on receiving red tape and receiving subpoenas and so on. It's sad because it's hurting, but also what I'm saying is that we as an industry need now to behave as adults. We need to understand that we need to be careful, or we need to think twice, because we are under heavy scrutiny. So you need to be extra careful in what you do, and also I would say if there's a good side to what happened over the last 12 months, is that this has helped flush a lot of the bad projects, to be honest, because we know that in our space, not everyone is a good actor and not everyone deserves being there, because they don't bring real utility to the customers. And at the end, we are here to provide utility. So I hope that we will have this dot-com moment where in 2000, where the bubble exploded, the bad actors went bust, and the ones who were there for the long term, we are part of those ones. There are also other projects. I mean, we are not unique, but all the ones who really, since the inception, were having a real vision of delivering on the promise of decentralization, of the real vision of Web3, and providing utility and value for the customers, will be able to thrive. And I feel that, yes, it's a bit bumpy in the US in terms of regulation right now. There's sometimes what people call a regulation by enforcement. I hope that this will end up as soon as possible, so that I feel US is a big land of innovation. I hope quickly there would be a way for this business to have clear rules well defined over there, and so that innovation doesn't exit from the US to other parts. I don't think they will want that, but time will tell.
How do you square up the importance of decentralization with centralized organizations trying to bring the vision of Polkadot about? Do you feel like Web3 Foundation and Parity will be around for a long time, or is there this process? You spoke to it a little bit earlier, this process of decentralizing all aspects of Polkadot. How do we get there, and how long does it take?
How long, it's hard to say, but yes, the vision is for Polkadot to be a complete DAO,
right?
And it has the power to be that. There's an on-chain treasury, right? And now with governance V2, it's even more easier to make proposals and get funded. So that could be the potentially. I don't like to use the word bank, but the financial system that generates that financial ammunition that we needed by for projects to be able to develop, right? And then there's a diverse set of teams that we are starting to see in the ecosystem who are operating completely in an autonomous manner, which is great. So I think we'll be there. It's hard to put honestly. It's hard to set a date. That'd be in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. I think it will be in that time frame. But we are focusing on that and delivering on that. And potentially, yes, at that time maybe the foundation will have a different structure. Maybe it will be evolved to something else. But the goal is still this one: to have this system, this blockchain, this DAO that is fully autonomous and that brings that delivers on all the dimensions of the Web3 vision.
This new governance model is a huge responsibility on token holders, and it hasn't been perfectly smooth. There's a lot of discourse around how to make it more efficient and how to not waste treasury funds. But I was wondering what you would say to those who are trying to scale governance by creating centralized institutions and creating central points of authority. What would you say to those people who are trying to reintroduce centralization back into the system?
I would say that it goes against the concept of decentralization. I mean, you cannot be decentralized in name only.
Right.
So it goes with it. And of course, the more you decentralize, as you said, the more you give power to the token owners, and the more, as Spider-Man says, big powers comes with big accountability. So the two things go together, right? And you as a token owner, you need to be much more of an adult in that model, right?
Yeah.
But isn't that what we want, right? Give back power to the users and to people versus a bunch of centralized institutions, organizations, call them the way you want, who are the ones in charge of the power, and taking that away from you. So
right. You're right. We really are having that Spider-Man moment.
exactly.
Hey, the Web3 Foundation, you guys fund a lot of great projects, as you were alluding to in the beginning. What do you look for when teams come to you looking for some funding to kickstart an idea?
So, number one is the quality of the team.
Okay, the people.
So, the people, really. And I don't mean that only teams who have been already having an impressive track record of development can come. No, it's not from that perspective.
Oh.
We talk to them and we like to see the motivation, why they are there, why they want to develop this, and also the skills that they have in terms of, because you need to build stuff.
Yeah.
So you need to have coders in front of you. You don't need to have people, marketers, and people coming and show you a couple of slides. Say, we want to do this, give us X, right? So that's a no-go already, right? So the team, because we want to set them for success, we don't want to set them for failure, right? And also we are responsible of the wise use of the financial assets of the foundation, right? So there are lots of people who have potential, and we don't want to waste money with people who don't deserve it. So number one is the team. Number two is if we already have 10 other projects doing the same kind of application, do we need an 11th one? Right. So, what that project is bringing to the ecosystem? What are the potential other synergies with existing projects? Is it complementing an existing one, which is great, right? Or is it something completely new that we don't have in the ecosystem, and that will really disrupt and bring a new type of vertical of applications in the market? So that's also important, so that we can make sure that we don't want a million projects. We prefer to have much less, but who really bring value and who are really addressing real problems, right?
Yeah.
So that's basically the two main things. And of course, we're doing all the KYC and all the legal stuff, so making sure that they are legit, or all the making sure that they are not under sanctions and all that kind of. But I would say legalities that are important also, because we don't want to put the foundation in any tricky situation from that perspective.
So maybe some advice for all of us token holders who are trying to take over this network, looking over the horizon. What's ahead that we want to avoid? What are some icebergs that we should be aware of?
I think as token holders, and as we give more power to the on-chain treasury, we need to use wisely the on-chain treasury. Make sure that when we are asking for funding from the treasury, the justification of that ask is real, and has a real impact, right? Because if not, then we will put the whole community in a bad situation, right?
Yeah.
We don't want to see this as a way to use funds for wrongdoing. I will leave it there, right?
Yeah, it's a huge challenge for us.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And this is not the foundation responsibility. The question was for the token holders.
Yeah.
It's everyone's responsibility.
Well, it was really nice of you to take some time and talking with us today. I think it provided a lot of context to what's going on, and also very inspirational for us token holders to bring Polkadot to the full vision that Gavin set forward to us. So just want to thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, Jay. I really appreciate it.